quintessential Trumpian remarks. The bottom line here, Tom, is that this is an opportunity for the president to really kickstart his re-election campaign. And as you and I were talking about offline, the challenge is he doesn't have an opponent who is on the campaign trail and in front of cameras every day.
Well, what's Joe Biden going to do off of this as we go through the Sunday talk shows, and next Monday we really engage the battle to Labor Day, and then when it really heats up, what would you expect from Vice President Biden?
Well, look, I think you saw a preview in terms of how the Democrats are beginning in earnest to defend how a Biden administration and, quite frankly, how the Obama administration handled Ebola is going to push back against the Republicans, arguing that Joe Biden did not have a plan in place to take on the coronavirus. You've seen them come out and attack the Republicans for how they have handled the pandemic. Vice President Mike Pence last night offering a preview of those political attacks, suggesting that the Democrats would not have been in favor of restricting travel in January from China. That is something that the Democrats are saying is not correct. However, that is going to be a key point of contention during the debates leading up to November 3rd.
Kevin, are we going to get a surprise policy announcement from President Trump tonight?
You know, I'm struck by whether or not there could be. Yesterday, of course, there have been several key policy announcements this week, whether it be in terms of the U.S. sanctioning firms from China that are connected to their One Belt, One Road initiative, or whether it be other policy prescriptions as it relates to China and additional sanctions. I think the biggest question on my mind is where does the president go in terms of additional executive action with the lack of fiscal stimulus? Yesterday, I spoke to an advisor at the White House who told me that the president is still very much weighing the options as it relates to a host of different industries, Lisa, including the airline sector.
And as we wait for the jobless claims figure in about an hour and 10 minutes time, what is the latest in terms of how long President Trump's executive action can be in effect to give that supplemental income to the newly unemployed?
Well, this is where the weather report down in Beaumont, Texas, and Hurricane Laura is really putting pressure on people like Senator John Cornyn, a Republican in Texas who's up for re-election, and quite honestly is in a tougher fight than he would like, though he's still trending up in terms of the polls. Because the fiscal stimulus debate that has dragged on throughout the summer, I mean, now you've got Hurricane Laura whacking the Gulf. A lot of those lawmakers in both the House and the Senate, this is going to light a fire under them when their constituents are now dealing with the pandemic and a hurricane.
You know, Kevin, I get in the Bentley in the morning and tool out of one zip code through another zip code and down to work. And I mean, folks, I understand my life isn't normal. Well, guess what? I'm seeing a lot of pain out there, Kevin. I mean, it is really ugly in small business America. And I asked you this question yesterday. I mean, the president, I believe, mentioned stimulus yesterday. Where's even a modest stimulus to show the Washington flag?
From the political angle, should the president get a deal, he would no doubt campaign on it. From another political angle, Speaker Pelosi, whether or not there's an incentive for her to negotiate with Republicans, especially when, truthfully, they view the Senate as in play for taking that back on Election Day, there's, you know, one can make the case that there's not that much political incentive. From a policy angle, when 48% of businesses in this country are small and medium-sized companies, there's absolutely an incentive for both parties to come to some type of deal. So I think this is really on a collision course. And the final point that I would make on this is that you look at the polls that suggest that both bases are dug into their respective camps. Well, but look at how the Republican Party has been remade in the Trump era. It was only, you know, when you see how the working class has been increased by 10 percentage points nearly since 2010 to the Republican Party.
Kevin Sorley, thank you so much, particularly for the 10-year perspective as well, our chief Washington correspondent. With that perspective, we are advantaged by David Weston and our Republican National Convention coverage at 9 p.m. tonight on radio, on television, as we wonder if the